What lengths would you go to keep your chickens if the local government wanted to take them from you? Would you sue somebody? Would you hire a legal team? Maybe. We're going to talk about a Michigan woman who did just that. Welcome to the new Hobby Farm Guys channel. Before we get into our topic, just one quick question. So, what's new on the farms?
Well, it's summertime, so garden, right? We're starting to harvest. I put up some currant pie filling last week. Got a bunch of things growing. The big new thing for me, I've had chickens for 20 years, and for 20 years, I've hauled water out to the chickens. Last week, I finally put in a water line down to the chickens. So now I've got water at the chickens, put in a power line at the same time because I've had temporary power run up there for the last few years. So I actually have water and power at the chickens now for the first time in 20 years.
Oh,
That's
pretty
awesome.
exciting.
Yeah, yay.
I think for me, what's new, I've got my Buckeye chickens, my young ones that hatched this year. They are now integrated into the flock. They're out in the coop and out of the brooder.
There you go.
Out of my garage.
No more stinky chickens.
No more stinky chicken brooder in the garage. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, well, I looked at the old planters that I had used a few years ago, and I thought about pulling them out and planting some asparagus. That's what I want to grow, so maybe
There you
I'll
go.
jump on that.
All right.
All right, well, thank you for that, Steve. I guess we're going to come over and have a party.
Yeah.
Water balloon fight or something.
You betcha.
That's pretty exciting.
Bring the water and the balloons and the food and the party.
All right, well, let's move on to our topic here. Kind of a fun one. We got this from an article from nlive.com by Matthew Miller, and I'm just going to give a quick summary of it, and then we'll talk about a few things and get your guys' idea on what you might do. So to begin, a lady named Catherine Sarkeesian of Douglas, Michigan, decided to get chickens, and the city there requires you to apply for a permit, but allows any adjacent neighbor to veto the permit, which is kind of crazy, you know. One person can veto it and you're done. So they awarded the permit and then asked the neighbors if they would allow Catherine to have her chickens. And they were supposed to obviously go around and ask the neighbors before issuing the permit. So Catherine had already spent roughly $23,000 on a coop, a run, and a fence for the chickens. And she bought 6 chickens. Only afterward did the city come around and say, hey, you have to get rid of them. Someone vetoed you. And she likens this ordinance to one that would allow a neighbor to veto you having a barbecue in your backyard.
Yeah.
Which I could kind of agree with that. So she's accruing fines of $300 a day. And right now she has close to $80,000 in fines, which is crazy. So she is suing in the U.S. District Court, alleging that the decision to give the neighbors a, quote, standardless and unreviewable veto over the use of her own property, end of quote, is unconstitutional. Pretty interesting situation. So I kind of want to get your guys' opinion here. So first of all, I want to hear your thoughts on the ordinance and should she be allowed to keep her chickens?
Well, first of all, I read the entire article that was on MLive. Well-written article. Go check it out. See for yourself. Read the entire thing. But should she be allowed to keep her chickens? I say yes. I say if the town has an ordinance that ever allows chickens and you gave her the permit, it's hard to go back on your word afterward and say, well, we gave you the permit, but now this neighbor doesn't want it. What happens if you have a new neighbor that moves in? Do they get to veto it when you've had them for years? It seems like a weird ordinance to have. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, you know, the argument here is, we got a specific case, but the argument's a bigger argument of how much regulation is allowed to happen on what I can do with my own land. Right. That's the big thing, because you raised some valid points, and I'm the same way. I'm like, pound sand. You know, you gave me the
Exactly.
permit or whatever. I went through the process. Now, if I snuck on chickens and tried to do something and then I got busted, I don't have as valid an argument, right? It's a steeper climb to go make that argument. But I followed the outline process. I did everything you required. I paid the things. I've done everything in compliance. And then you say, oh, well, we forgot. Well, that's too bad. As for the larger argument,
yes,
my neighbor's saying, I don't like your chickens. I don't like your face. Get out of the neighborhood. Right?
I think it's just a messed up
I
ordinance to
understand.
begin with.
It's hard because, right? It's hard.
The way
because-
this ordinance is written, I can be denied chickens because my next door neighbor says no. But 3 houses down from me, they can have chickens because nobody who's immediately adjacent to them has a problem with it.
Right, and I think
That just doesn't seem right.
And I think part of the case or whatever was the way you've written this is the neighbor says no, I'm out. There's no
Right.
way for me to appeal that or to say, hey,
They
right,
don't have to provide any
right
sound reason
this
behind
is,
why.
she's had them and we've got these odors and this and that. Just that
Yeah.
stinks and then my property value goes down. And I think in today's environment we're moving more and more, and you see this again and again, right? Whether it's chickens, whether it's honeybees, right? Cities and townships and things are changing drastically to allow that. As there's kind of this push for people to do that. Same thing in some places that you can't garden, right? Or in a lot of places, this is the one I've been kind of down the rabbit hole with recently, collecting rainwater. Right. If I live in the middle of Arizona
subject.
and I want to have a garden, right? So I'm going to collect the rain, and they say that's illegal. You want to bet, right? So I mean, there's all sorts of different.
Got
things
it.
that this
Build a
applies
fence
to.
around my rainwater collection.
There's a whole bunch of different things that this applies to, and there are valid arguments sometimes why,
Generally
you
speaking,
can't do that on your property.
Generally
But
speaking,
a flock
I
of
don't
chickens.
like an ordinance that says you can't have chickens. Obviously, I'm the type who likes chickens, so I'm not going to like that type of ordinance at all. But I really hate an ordinance that's just not equally applied among everybody who lives within that town. Now you're really going crazy.
Yeah, I
with
think
it.
she has a good case.
Well, I'm going to take the last word here and get rid of the chickens. I'm all for the government. All right.
We need a new third. If you'd like to apply for the new open position in Hobby Farm, guys,
If there's anyone in the government listening and you want to lower my taxes, great.
It's a good thing he's not a witness.
that's probably
in
how
this
it's going
case,
to work.
because he would have just perjured himself.
All right, well, let's move on here. So in this situation, would you guys have sued?
If I'm $26,000.
$23,000.
$23,000.
Yeah. First of all, that's a nice coop.
It was-
and
yeah.
but if you pay a contractor to come in and build a nice thing and fencing and you can hit that
depending
number.
on how big
But
it
if
is.
I'm at that point and I followed all the procedures, you bet I'm going to sue.
Yeah.
Because I think I have a case that I can win.
Right.
It's not like, well, let me try at this point. And the same thing with those fines accruing.
Yeah, after I read this article, I actually saw a video pop up in my feed from a lawyer who was, I think is Steve Leto, I think is his name. And he talked about this case and he's like, yeah, she's got a good case. So, yeah, I would probably sue if I had spent that much money. It's kind of a touchy subject because you don't want to, you don't want to tick off the neighbors if you can avoid it. But it sounds to me like her neighbor already ticked her off, so it's fair game at this point. Yeah, I'd be suing. Unequal application of an ordinance that just doesn't work with me.
Either that or I'd be like, all right, I'll get rid of the chickens. I'm going to get peacocks instead.
Right. Where's your ordinance on peacocks? Guinea fowl.
Nice quiet birds.
Yeah.
Well, if you spend $23,000, you can
Crap
spend
all over
another
your
$20
car.
on a lawyer. So
Would you
Yeah.
spend $23,000 to
if it came with a pool,
get chicken?
sure.
$23,000.
No, I would not. You do $23,000. That'd be.
I mean, that's a nice fence and a luxury coop, and I
Yeah.
mean, like you said, if you're hiring a contractor to come in and do all the work, and you have a big area to fence and a big run and a nice coop,
It's doable.
I guess it could run that much. I would never spend that much money just to start a chicken flock.
For 6
How about
chickens.
Yeah,
For 6 chickens, no.
no.
How about 8 chickens?
You're looking for the number?
Yeah, is there a
Find
number?
it.
How many chickens for 23,000? Probably about 48,000 chickens.
About 6 turkeys.
About 6 turkeys.
All right, so this lady is racking up $300 a day in fines. and
Those-
up to
those-
$80,000.
Those are going to disappear. She's going to win this case.
Yeah, I think if you're pretty confident you're going to win the case, let them racket them up. I'm not paying it in the end.
What if you lose?
But nothing's guaranteed either. So that's the scary part. How much did you say
You-
she's accrued in fines so far?
I think
Even
over
if-
80,000.
Even if they win, I can't see them going after that.
It'd be tough.
Unless she just turns into a beast. I mean, I don't see how you. Whatever.
Oh yeah, most governments are very forgiving of debts. So,
Yeah, you betcha.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yep. So, have either of you been involved, I guess, in anything like this?
No.
Sued?
I have not sued, no, but I think I've got a story that might be coming up in another video that about chickens and neighbors and how some neighbors don't mix with your chickens.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll save that for another
Little
day.
teaser there.
Yeah.
Ooh, boy, I can't wait.
Good story.
You've heard the story.
Probably about 5 times, but it only gets better, trust me. All right, any closing words?
Not for me.
Like, subscribe, leave comments, suggestions.
Yeah, I agree. Comments are great. So we appreciate you being here. We'll see you next time. Keep on hobby farming.